Hey there, this is Grant Kemp from CreativeCashFlow.com. Today, let's talk a little bit about some of the basics behind Bandit signs. Bandit signs, as you know, are going to be the signs that you see stuck out in yards that say we buy houses or house for sale, whatever, that kind of thing. So let's talk about Bandit signs and how to kind of properly use those from a basic standpoint, because I see this get screwed up a lot, surprisingly enough. Even though it's a very simple concept, I see people do them wrong all the time. So one thing that I really want to say before we get started is check your local laws on this, because code compliance is going to be handled differently in different areas. So really you need to figure out what code compliance wants in your area. Sometimes there's areas where you can put Bandit signs out all weekend, you just have to have it up by Monday, stuff like that. So you really need to check on that. I'm going to pretend that we live in a world where there are no code compliance laws that we need to adhere by as we're talking about this. But again, it's going to be your responsibility to go out there and figure out what those laws really are. And Bandit signs are one of those things that you can use both for acquisition and disposition. You can use a Bandit sign to help you buy houses. You can use Bandit signs to help you sell houses. They're both equally valuable for you. Okay, let's get into the most basic of items here that I get screwed up all the time whenever I see people putting their signs out. Where do you place your Bandit signs? Guys, look at where all these red circles are. They're crosses, they're crossroads, they're places where people are at a stop. I will be driving down the road sometimes. Literally, I was driving into the Propelio Studios a couple weeks ago. I'm driving down the service road of a freeway, and in the middle of the freaking service road, on the side, there's a Bandit sign trying to sell a house. And it's like, who the heck is ever going to be able to read this thing as we're going 50 to 60 miles an hour? Not a stop sign in sight, not an access road in sight. They just expected somebody to be like, oh, I'm going to sell a house. Oh, well, 214. Like, how are you going to get that phone number? That's ridiculous. So look for places where people are going to be stopped, whether that's a stop sign at a neighborhood or if that's a stop light at a major cross section. When you're going to place these signs, place them in such a way that when you're on the cross, you want to put two signs per intersection. One sign goes on one corner, one sign goes in the exact opposite corner. And you want to have them angled in such a way that people stopped in this direction are going to be able to read it, and then people stopped in this direction are going to be able to read it. On the other side, similar kind of concept. If you have a sign over here, you want the people that are stopped down here to be able to read it, and you want the people that are stopped over here to be able to read it, right? So just to angle it so that you can get it over to people. What makes a good sign is going to be that it's handwritten. One of the big things that people do is they think when they're getting into the business, oh, well, people are going to call me more if I've got a really nice professional sign. Nobody's ever going to call that stupid handwritten sign on the side of the road. I'll tell you what, the crappier it looks, the better response that we get from these Bandit signs, okay? And I know that's kind of surprising, but it's true. The crappier that this sign looks, the better response that it is. And I don't really know why that is. My theory is that the people that are wanting to sell you the house to an investor at a discount, that those people are so done with corporate America, that they're so done with big businesses, that when it looks nice and pretty, that is associating you with that corporate America big business bank that they're already finished with. But when you have this crappy handwritten sign, it says, hey, I'm just a guy that happens to have too much money, I want to give it to you for your house, and they're more likely to make that phone call. So for whatever reason, that works better. But you've got to still be legible. Even though it's crappy, it's still got to be legible. Like I said before, place it at stops. Don't place it in the middle of the road. I've gotten a better response out of yellow Bandit signs with the black marker on it. But white Bandit signs are obviously out there too. It's kind of one of those things where a lot of times you look at what the big trend is, what all the signs out there look like. If they're all yellow, start putting white. If they're all white, start putting yellow. That kind of thing. Just, you want to stand out. And ideally, you want to have something that's a little bit cohesive that ties your marketing campaign together. There's somebody around here that you see their signs in Dallas area that says Elvis buys houses. Well, that sticks out, right? Somebody sees that and they think Elvis, they think of, hey, chunka chunka burnin' love, or hunka hunka burnin' love. They think of the actual Elvis Presley and they remember it. So when they're driving down their commute and they see 2, 3, 4, 5 of them, they know it's the same person and it sticks in their head. The key to marketing, the key to good marketing is multiple touches. Whenever you're touching somebody, and by a touch I mean any interaction that they have with your marketing piece. That might be a direct mail, that might be a Bandit sign, that might be knocking on the door, whatever it is, a door hanger, that's a touch. Anytime that you get in front of your person with your product, you're touching them in that marketing sense. And so if you can give some kind of cohesive tie together in your marketing campaign, whether it be your Bandit sign campaign or your direct mail or whatever that is, that's going to help you because people are going to realize it's you still. Brand awareness is a very big deal in marketing. It's one of the reasons why now, at the point that Coke is at, Coke doesn't need to sell anybody anymore on their value proposition, but they need people to remember that they exist. You see a billboard for Coke, it's just Coca-Cola. That's all it says. It just reminds you that they exist. But it's that you're in the forefront of your mind that makes it more likely for you to use their product. Similarly, in our world, we want to be in the forefront of people's mind. If we're spending so much money to touch people multiple times, we want them to know that we are the ones touching them multiple times. So if you have some kind of little phrase that you want to throw on there that you think might work for you, do it. Try and keep it cohesive. Try and stick away from the We Buy Houses basic signs because everybody else is doing that too. Now, as I say that, this is going to be a video that lives on the internet for a long time. And I want you guys to understand that 90% of marketing is reevaluating what's going on in your marketing campaign. So you have to A/B test things. You have to put out testing to see which thing is performing better for you at that point in time, and then start pouring your money into the one that's performing better. So try different phrasings. Whether it is We Buy Houses, try it. And see if that's the one that's working for you in your area to go forward with. And then you start pouring all of your money into that. And occasionally throw out a different campaign and see what your returns are like. Use some different phrasing, see what your returns are like. If your phone calls come in, go up, then you know you're onto something. If they drop dramatically, you know you need to kind of back off of that and go back to what you had before. But you've got to test. Marketing is all about testing the market and understanding what people want. It's really important for you to be able to put yourself in their shoes, reading the sign from their point of view, and understanding what's going to cause them to follow your call to action, which is going to be a call now, right? Call today, call now. You've got to have some kind of call to action on there, which says, don't just read the sign passively, but actually do something about it. I want you to read the sign, and I want you to pick up your phone and call me. It sounds simple, but that call to action, which you'll see abbreviated as CTA in a lot of places, is absolutely necessary in marketing, regardless of which marketing type you're taking. But especially in something like this, and that's why our phone number is there. You know, your phone number can be the implied call to action because it is a phone number. What else are you going to do with it? But it does help to explicitly have a call now written on there or something along those lines. Now, I'm going to show you on the next slide what not to do. This is actually a funny story. This was one of my employees was putting together a Bandit sign campaign for us to sell a couple of the houses that we had around in the area. And you know, they all know the same things that I'm telling you. We want to try and stick ourselves in a different category than everybody else, try and stick in people's minds, that kind of thing. So use phrasings, experiment, that kind of deal. Well, the basic sign for selling a house is just going to be, 322, dueño a dueño if you're doing owner financing, which means, owner to owner, or just seller financing, and then call today with a phone number. Right? That's going to be kind of your basic go-to sales board, but it doesn't hurt to try things out. Well, I walked into my back office one day and she's putting all these things together for me, and I picked up one of the signs and I was like, what is this? She's like, well, I'm just trying something out. And then you see it start to click in her head and she starts cracking up and she's like, oh my gosh, I didn't even think about it. This is the sign that I picked up from my employee creating. Quick and easy, call me with a phone number. We may have gotten a lot of phone calls with that Bandit sign, but I'm not necessarily going to say that that was a good campaign to send out there. So that picture lives in infamy now in our office, as I got to give her a lot of garbage and crap for the quick and easy that she's offering to all of our buyers. But don't do something silly like that. Just make sure that people understand what's going on your sign so that when they call, they know what they're getting into. Final points here. Code compliance. Code compliance is going to be existent almost anywhere. And one of the really key points to code compliance and working with code compliance is the fact that code compliance in any area, you're allowed to put a sign in somebody's front yard. Like in private property, the city doesn't have any control over that. So what you want to do is you want to take the sign with you that you want to put in somebody's yard and knock on the door. And this is especially on the sale side, especially when you're trying to sell a house. knock on somebody's door that's at the corner of a major intersection or at a stop sign or something like that where it's going to get some high visibility, and just say, hey, you know, my name's Grant. I've got a house for sale up here, up the road. Do you mind if I put the sign in your front yard for the next couple of weeks so that we can get people seeing it from this major road? Never had anybody say no. I've had people who don't answer the door, but then you just go to the house that's across the street and ask them, and then do the right thing. Go back out there, take the sign off, maybe leave them a little thank you note that says, thanks for letting me put my sign there. And that way, if you need to go back out in a week or two and say, look, I had something fell through, is it okay if I just leave this up until we get it sold at this point in time? And tell them, if you ever get tired of it being in your yard, don't worry about it, just take it out. It's totally fine, I get it. You probably don't want that out there for forever, but it'll help me if I can put this out here. Part of the psychological side of what we're playing there is if you explain why you're asking for something, people are infinitely more likely to give you that result. The example that principle comes from is from an experiment that one of the colleges did on getting things from people. And so what they did is they would go to a line of people that was in front of a Xerox machine at a library, and they would cut in the very front, and they would say, excuse me, do you mind if I cut in front to make this copy? And at first, nobody would let them make the copy. And then they started saying, okay, excuse me, do you mind if I cut in front to make this copy because I'm in a huge hurry and I need to get out of here real quick? And then it shot up, and I can't remember numbers, you know, like they say, 70 whatever percent of statistics are made up, but it was significant. I think it was 33 or 38% of the people would comply at that point in time. Actually, no, it was much more. Anyway, a lot of people complied. A lot of people let them cut in front of line. And then they took it a step further. And the person cutting in line would just say, excuse me, do you mind if I cut in line to make copies because I really need to get a copy of this? They still got the same response. They still got the same compliance response, solely because of the word because, right? Explaining why a request exists, even if it's a circular reasoning like that. Excuse me, can I make copies because I need to make copies? Just the explanation makes people much more likely to comply. So as you're asking somebody to put a sign in their yard, ask them, say, hey, I've got a sign, or I've got the house up for sale here. Do you mind if I put this sign in your yard because I really need to see if I can get some traffic off of the yard or off of this major road here? You know, just giving them any kind of because is really going to help your cause. Watch the advanced Bandit signs video to see how to scale up. This is a very basic look at Bandit signs, but if you want to scale up and you want to really push Bandit signs out as a true campaign, that means you're going to need to employ some people to put those out there for you. And how do you manage that? How do you get it to where it's kind of on autopilot? How do you get it to where you can have people just putting your signs out for you and you still understanding that they're getting done right, that you're verifying that the signs are where they need to go so that they can get paid, and that becomes your marketing campaign. So watch the Advanced Bandit Signs video for that. Guys, like always, find creativecashflow.com on Facebook, Twitter, find Propelio the same way, like, share, all that kind of good stuff, and then keep watching these videos. So until next time, we'll talk to you later.